This was supposed to be impossible. A man walked into a casino wearing a hoodie, sat at a blackjack table, and walked out with millions. Not hundreds of thousands. Millions. No fake cards. No hidden cameras. No hacking. No card counting. And somehow, the casino still lost. In fact, what happened next was so embarrassing that executives lost jobs. Casinos changed rules forever, and one gambler quietly exposed something the gambling industry never wants people to understand. The house does not always win. But here is the part nobody talks about. This story is not really about luck. It is about how casinos became so desperate to keep gamblers hooked that they accidentally created the one player they could not beat. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the same system that made one man millions is the exact same psychology now being used to keep millions of young people gambling online. Now let's go back to April 2011. Atlantic City. Casino floor filled with noise. Bright lights flashing. Machines ringing. Dealers moving chips around tables like clockwork. And inside the Tropicana casino, security cameras are suddenly locked onto one man. Gray hoodie. Jeans. Baseball cap. Nothing flashy. He does not look rich. He does not look dangerous. Honestly, he barely looks awake. But there is one problem. He keeps winning. $100,000 per hand. Again, and again, and again. 12 hours straight. Casino staff start whispering. Pit bosses begin pacing. Security zooms cameras closer. Because nobody wins like this. Not for hours. Not at those stakes. And definitely not without cheating. By midnight, the tension becomes impossible to ignore. Managers are nervous. Dealers look uncomfortable. People begin gathering around the table just to watch. Then around 1 a.m. something happens. He gets 2 eights. For most people, this means almost nothing. For professional blackjack players, this is a critical decision. He splits them. Suddenly, $200,000 sits on the table. The room goes quiet. One hand wins. Then the second. The crowd erupts. An hour later, he stands up, calm, emotionless. I'm done. The casino counts the chips, then counts them again. Then a third time. Final number? $5.8 million. One session. One day. The biggest loss in that casino's history. And the strangest part? Everything he did was completely legal. No cheating. No crime. No tricks. So how does someone beat casinos at their own game? To understand that, we need to go backward. Because this story started years earlier. And what casinos did next would turn out to be one of the dumbest decisions in gambling history. Back in the late 2000s, Atlantic City had a problem. Actually, a disaster. For years, casinos there had made billions. Money everywhere. High rollers flying in. Tables packed. Business booming. Then suddenly, everything changed. The financial crash hit. People stopped spending. Casinos emptied. And if that was not bad enough, nearby states started opening their own casinos. Now people no longer needed long road trips. Why drive hours when gambling existed nearby? Revenue collapsed. Fast. Casinos panicked. And panic makes smart businesses do stupid things. Especially when money disappears. See, casinos survive on one thing: keeping gamblers inside the system. The longer someone plays, the more likely they lose. That is not opinion. That is math. Casinos are designed around one brutal truth. The house edge. It may be small, 1%, 2%, sometimes less. But over time, the casino almost always wins. And this is exactly why casinos love emotional players. People chasing losses. People staying too long. People thinking the next hand changes everything. Because addiction is profitable. But here is where things get interesting. Casinos were desperate for wealthy gamblers. The kind who bet massive amounts. People called whales. And to attract whales, casinos started offering special deals. Free luxury suites, private jets, expensive dinners, VIP treatment. But eventually that stopped working. So casinos introduced something dangerous. Loss rebates. Sounds harmless, even generous. Lose money? Casino gives some back. For example, lose $100,000. Get 10% returned. Feels like protection. Feels safer. Feels fair. But psychologically, this is genius manipulation. Because the moment people think losses hurt less, they gamble harder, longer, riskier. It feels safer to lose. And that is exactly how casinos keep people hooked. Today, online gambling apps use the same idea. Risk-free bets, bonus credits, deposit matches. Sounds free, usually costs people much more. But Atlantic City pushed this idea too far. And that mistake brought in one man. His name was Don Johnson. Not the actor, not a billionaire, not famous. Just someone who understood gambling math better than almost anyone alive. Before gambling professionally, he had worked around racing systems and gaming regulation. Meaning, he understood how casinos think. More importantly, he understood something most gamblers never do. Casinos are businesses, and businesses can make mistakes, especially desperate ones. Then one day his phone rings. Casino calling with an offer. Big betting limits, special blackjack rules, loss protection, a VIP arrangement. Most gamblers hear that and get excited. Don did something different. He got suspicious, and what happened next changed everything. Instead of rushing into the casino, he called mathematicians, real experts, probability specialists, people who understood gambling models at the highest level. He basically asked one question. If I play under these rules, who actually has the advantage? Now this is where the story gets crazy. Because after days of calculations, the answer shocked everyone. Not the casino, him. For once, the house edge was gone. Actually worse, the edge flipped. Meaning if he played carefully enough, he could mathematically expect to win. Think about that. The entire gambling industry exists because math favors casinos. And somehow, these casinos accidentally built a game where the player had the edge. But there was a catch. One casino would not be enough. He needed multiple deals, without raising suspicion. And if casinos realized what he was doing, everything would collapse. So Don made his move, quietly, carefully, one casino at a time. First stop, Tropicana. No expensive suit, no Rolex, no flashy entrance, just a hoodie. He wanted casinos to underestimate him. That matters more than people realize, because casinos expect danger to look obvious. The loud genius, the flashy expert, not the quiet guy who looks average. Inside a private room, negotiations begin. He asks for better blackjack rules. Dealer stands on softer hands. More player-friendly splits. Better surrender options. Small adjustments. Tiny changes. Individually, they look harmless. Together, huge difference. Then came the real trap. The rebate system. He wanted refunds calculated session by session. Meaning if he lost big today, reset tomorrow. Fresh start. The casino agrees. Massive mistake. Then another casino signs. Then another. 3 casinos. 3 bad deals. And none realized they had signed contracts that could lose millions. But here is what makes this story deeper than gambling. Because this is not just about blackjack. It is about psychology. Casinos believed something dangerous. That gamblers always lose control eventually. That emotion beats discipline. That greed takes over. And honestly, they are usually right. Most people who gamble long enough stop following logic. They chase losses, increase bets, ignore math. Emotion wins. But Don Johnson played like a machine. No ego, no chasing, no emotional betting, no one more hand. And that is why he became unbeatable. What happened next shocked Atlantic City. Session after session, he won $500,000. Then more, then more. Sometimes he lost. But even losses triggered rebates, meaning damage stayed controlled. And casinos relaxed, because losing sessions made him look normal. Just another gambler. Except he was not gambling. He was executing math. There is a huge difference. And then came April 2011. The day everything exploded. Back at Tropicana. Biggest session yet. From the first hour, he starts winning. Fast, then faster. By afternoon, over $1 million ahead. Security reviews footage. Looking for cheating. Nothing. Management gets nervous. Still winning. Evening arrives. Now millions ahead. Casino executives show up. Because nobody understands what they are watching. Pit bosses ask him to stop. Take a break. Dinner maybe. He refuses. Keeps playing. Hour after hour. And suddenly, reality hits the casino. This was not luck. This was their own mistake happening in real time. By the time he walks away, $5.8 million profit. One sitting. And soon casinos compare notes. Tropicana lost millions. Another casino too. Another one after that. Total damage? Roughly $15 million. To one man. Now here is the funny part. Casinos started talking about lawsuits. Not because he cheated. Because he won. Think about that. When casinos use math to take people's money. Normal business. When somebody uses math against them. Suddenly everyone panics. But regulators investigated. Security checked footage. Experts reviewed everything. Final verdict? Completely legal. No cheating. No crime. Casinos simply made terrible decisions. And Don Johnson kept every dollar. Around $15 million. Gone. Forever. But this story matters for a much bigger reason. Because casinos learned something terrifying. People become dangerous when they stop playing emotionally. That is why modern gambling systems are not built around math. They are built around emotion. Fast spins. Bright lights. Notifications. Bonus rewards. Almost won moments. Everything designed to keep people chasing. Especially online. Especially young people. And now prediction markets are starting to blur the same line. Politics. Sports. Economics. Everything becoming a bet. Packaged as investing. Packaged as strategy. But psychologically, it scratches the same itch. The thrill. The dopamine. The feeling that one more prediction changes everything. That is why stories like this matter. Because most people watching Don Johnson think, how do I beat casinos? Wrong question. The better question is, how do I stop systems from beating me? Because for every Don Johnson, there are millions quietly losing money while believing the next hand will fix everything. And that belief, that hope, that is where casinos really win. Don Johnson beat casinos because he stayed logical in a system built to make people emotional. Most people never do. And that changes everything. If this story surprised you, watch the next video because what online gambling companies are doing to keep young people hooked today makes this casino scandal look small.